Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. Lana Quest is currently doing a show of her own right now. She started, I think, at 7 o'clock, and she is going to hop on with us here as soon as she gets done with her show. So I appreciate anybody that is tuning in right now. And what will we talk about today? What do you think? Was there anything that happened? Is there anything on anybody's mind where something happened? Jesse, what's up, my friend? Thank you for joining. Today, I think we all know what we're talking about. We are going to talk about last night's debate. And to call it a debate would be probably doing it some disservice, because that wasn't a debate, because usually a debate requires two people speaking to each other and both of them having good, solid points. But what I saw last night was one of the worst dismantlings of any one-on-one, whether it was sports, debates, whatever it is you want to call it, that I have ever seen in my entire life. That was an absolute 100% masterclass on how you handle Donald Trump. Now, it took 9 years for somebody to figure it out. It took 9 years to go, how do we finally handle this clown? Well, first of all, you need somebody equipped to do it. And as much as I love Joe Biden, you've heard me say on this show before, Joe Biden will go down as one of the most consequential and best presidents in our lifetime, period. Again, come at me if you want to. That is an absolute fact. And you're going to see as time goes on and history goes on that a lot of historians are going to agree with me. But as much as I love the man, he was far from equipped to take on Donald Trump at the time. Now, as I've said before, Donald Trump didn't win the debate. Donald Trump just came out of it looking less old, and it basically put Joe Biden out of the race. His debate performance was so bad. He beat himself. He wasn't rattled by Donald Trump. It wasn't anything that he said where he was like, oh my God, what do I do? That just really comes more from he's just older. And he said it himself. I'm not a big debater anymore. This is not my thing. I can handle everything else. Debating's not my thing. So we all know what happened in that debate. Hillary Clinton was 100% equipped to debate Donald Trump, but the problem back then is that she didn't know what she was running into. She was prepared 100% to debate policy, but as we know, Donald Trump has zero policy. He didn't have policy when he first ran. He didn't have policy the second time, and clearly last night he had no policy the third time. So you have sort of a government nerd like Hillary Clinton saying, oh, I'm going to destroy this guy on policy. This guy was battling her with other stuff that she may not have been prepared for. So at the end of the day, she won all the debates against Donald Trump, because what are debates about? They are about getting your policy out there, and they're about resonating with the American people. Some could argue that Donald Trump resonated with the American people more than Hillary Clinton did, and that's why he won the election. But if you're breaking it down just based on what a debate is supposed to be about, it's supposed to be about what are you going to do for me and how are you going to do it? And Hillary was clearly better able to express herself in that respect, but certainly did not catch the ear of people who may be looking for something new. But this time, we had 9 years of Donald Trump. He's old now. And when I say old, I mean his act is old. He's physically old. He's not all there. I mean, he's really never been all there. But when you add his age into it, the guy's gone. I mean, he's just absolutely gone. And I mean, I'd have to imagine at some point that Kamala Harris was kind of like, oh, this is actually almost not fair. I mean, I shouldn't be doing this. This is like beating up on a child. But it was literally a masterclass and one of the best performances. And quite frankly, they call it the best performance. I sound like Donald Trump by saying they call it. I've heard pundits call it the greatest debate performance of all time. Again, I'll go and say the bar is a little different on there because debate performances wasn't really judged that way back in the day when it was just two white dudes talking to each other about policy and, you know, stuff like that. But when Donald Trump comes along and you have to change your game and you have to figure out how to defeat the debate bully, nobody's been able to do that. Marco Rubio pissed his pants when he was talking to him. Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz. I mean, the guy literally made fun of the guy's wife, claimed that he had something to do with JFK's, his dad had something to do with JFK's death. And a week later, Ted Cruz is on his knees answering the phones for Donald Trump and raising money for him. I mean, how incredibly embarrassing. But she took down that monster in such a way last night that was incredible. Jesse, I'm going to read a couple of your comments because I do have some clips I want to play. I have clips galore throughout this whole thing. I'm delaying a little bit to see if Lana jumps on, but I'm going to read the comments here. And then if she doesn't, then I'm going to move forward. He's consequential. How agree there. And it was a bad situation to come into. I'll give him that. Well, he did come into a bad situation. And quite frankly, I wouldn't even say that he came into a bad situation necessarily because of Donald Trump. He came into a bad situation because the economy was garbage because of COVID. So that's the real reason. Or that's the reason why the economy was bad. And what he did from that point on, not only got the 2.7 million jobs back, he added an additional 12 million jobs, the most for any president in the history of this country. Stock market's been the highest it's ever been in the history of this country. S&P highest in the history of this country. GDP growth was big considering that we had to still go through a pandemic. The inflation rate got up to 9.1%. His Inflation Reduction Act that he passed, it is now down to under 2%, the best in the world post-COVID. I mean, I could go on, and I've done this before, and I've got plenty of videos, but I want to kind of move on and not get too caught up in that stuff. But I'll if you want to send me a message later, I'll go over some more stuff. Hillary was better equipped than Joe. Still, I'd like to see a couple more debates before the actual election. I'm not sure it's necessary. I think Donald Trump he doesn't want to debate her again. There's no question, but I think he feels like he's going to have to debate her again, and she will welcome it with open arms. She is, like Tim Walz said in an interview last night, they asked him about it. She said, well, I'm certainly not going to tell her what to do, but if it's up to me, I'd debate that guy every single day if I could. And he's right. Donald Trump has been on TV and in the public eye for years. So he did have an edge on that, knowing that's exactly right. He was a TV guy. He knew, the TV stuff. And then he figured out how to resonate with people because people believed that he was an actual billionaire. This guy, they believed he was a great businessman, where if you go back and look, he was a terrible businessman, but he convinced people. So he's a good marketer. He knows how to convince people of stuff that's clearly not true, and he's been doing it his entire presidency. Baby Juggernauts in the house, thank you for joining. I don't know if you were over there watching Lana, but thank you for coming on over. Lana should be joining here anytime. So let's get started with the show. Let's start talking about the debate last night. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to toot my own horn, but I believe that last night I made a prediction and Lana made a prediction too. And we're going to go over these predictions. It's a real quick clip from our show last night on our predictions on what we thought was going to be the ultimate outcome of this debate. And here's what we had to say. Prediction here is going to be the overall outcome. What are the ramifications, Lana, that you believe happen overall from this point on? I think you mentioned one of them already was the fundraising.
Mm-hmm. She's going to go up and she's going to get a little bump in those polls.
Okay, so you say fundraising and a
A little
poll.
bump. It's not going to
We're still waiting on fundraising numbers and we're still waiting a bump on the polls. I think she's going to be right for sure on that,
be, it's
but
still going to
I
be
think
tight,
mine's
but
coming up
she's going to
next.
get a little bump in those
So I'm
polls.
going to make a bold prediction. I think that this is going to be so bad for Donald Trump tonight. It's going to be similar to what happened to Joe Biden after his debate. I think that after tonight, that Donald Trump is going to either do or say something so outrageously dumb or stupid that by tomorrow people are going to go, yeah, this race might be over, because I truly believe that she is that good in goading him. That was my prediction last night, and I did see. I think the Drudge Report had a big headline that said it's over. Chris Wallace had said that he's in big trouble. I heard most people that watched the debate last night didn't just say that Kamala Harris crushed Donald Trump, but a lot of people agree she might have just ended him. She might have ended MAGA and Donald Trump's whole political career for good. That's still going to play out. I'm not yet ready to make the prediction that she is going to automatically win, but I can tell you I felt good before the debate yesterday that she was going to win. After the debate, I feel very, very good. I also feel very good that I see my buddy Javid. Thank you, buddy. Hey, good to see you, and I appreciate you coming in. Javid says, I just want to understand how he can get away with the Dems are in favor of killing newborns. He said it twice. I see no mention of that in the news. And part of the problem with that is, Javid, is that the news has allowed Donald Trump for years and years and years to get away with saying some of the most outrageous shit. And the problem, I think, now is that, first of all, they didn't know how to handle it. They're like, holy shit, what's going on? Then he got a bunch of crazy nuts to believe that CNN and MSNBC was their enemy. So they would go to these things and not only just yell at them. I mean, they're making death threats at CNN people and MSNBC, ABC, CBS. Anything that Donald Trump said, I always call them his flying monkeys. If he sicks the flying monkeys on you, then he's just going to have them attack. Then time goes on, and the media started to fight back a little bit, but I also do sadly believe that they kind of like the carnival and the clown show because it just brings viewers. It is constant viewership for these people. Speaking of all of a sudden, I was just talking about big viewership. It's about to go through the roof now that Lana Quest has joined me.
Oh, yeah.
Are
Sure.
you kidding
Hey,
me?
hey, everyone. I see you have some of your favorite people here.
I do.
Welcome.
Jesse has joined us. A good buddy of mine, Javid. He is a friend of mine. He did come in and he was asking me about how, maybe you can answer this, Lana. This is a good one for you.
Why? Because
How
I'm
the
black?
huh?
Is it a black question? What is
No, ma'am.
it?
This is a good one for you because you are a woman. So I will say this is a good one for you, is that he's basically wondering why Donald Trump continues to get away with saying that Democrats are killing newborns and, these late term abortions and all this stuff. And he's pretty tired of that. He said he saw it twice and he sees no mention of it on the news.
Oh, like local news?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's talking about, if he's just pissed that people aren't calling this out more, that Donald
Well,
Trump gets away with
right.
saying this.
Right. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, they called it out at the debate.
They did.
That she sure did. She said there are 0 states that are doing that. And I think it's been called out before, but it's just one of those things that, like, to keep calling it out, it's so asinine that it's just like, why entertain the asinine? It's almost like him saying that Kamala decided to turn black. She doesn't entertain it because it's
Right.
just like, why? We know it's not happening. And if you think that that is happening, you're not even worth the conversation. What's the point? MAGA, they're not going to be like, you know what, you got a point there. They're not going to do that. So we'd be talking to ourselves to like continue with that. Like they have to do it. It's ridiculous, but it's just really just like
And see, that's
yeah.
exactly why I thought you would be perfect for that question, because you answered it, exactly. That was a great answer. You're right. I mean, that's part of it. And you know what? Is it almost, does Kamala Harris, does the team almost want him to keep saying it? It's kind of
Right,
like, say
exactly.
it. Keep saying
Right.
it, you stupid
Right.
asshole. Just
At this
keep
point.
saying it, because all you're
Exactly.
doing is pissing women off more
Right.
and more and more. And
Right.
you also have to consider you're not just pissing women off. You're probably pissing off a larger group of,
Exactly.
a demographic, but you're also
Exactly.
pissing off guys. You're pissing off a whole bunch of people that are insulted,
Right.
by your stupidity, and you're insulting our intelligence.
Yeah.
And so you're pissing off men, you're pissing off women, you're pissing off. I mean, if you are a half intelligent person, you should be pissed off by that garbage. But the first clip I played, Lana, I played our predictions from last night.
Oh man, I missed that.
You missed the predictions, so we are going to get right now to the debate. Lana, you did your show, I know,
Wait, how did we
tonight.
do with the predictions? Did you like talk
Nope,
about
I didn't do that yet. I
okay,
waited for
okay.
you. Yep. All
Okay.
right. So, but I just played the clip of what we said was going to happen. You
Okay.
indicated that there was going to be a bump in the fundraising, which
Yeah.
there haven't been numbers yet, but I
Yeah, there are.
almost
Yes, there
guarantee
has.
you.
No, there has.
There has. Oh, you saw it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, good. I assumed there would have to be. I mean, I just assumed. And by the way, if you did ever donate to Kamala Harris, they certainly don't mind sending you numerous text messages between midnight and 6 a.m. And I don't hear them. I wake up in the morning, but they don't mind sending them
Yeah.
at any
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then you also said that there would be a bump in her polling numbers. I believe it might even be bigger than we even expected.
Mhm.
And then my prediction is that it's going to be so bad for Donald Trump that people are going to wake up tomorrow, because he's going to say something so incredibly stupid that people are going to go, this is over. And I got the sense that there were a lot of people today that said, yeah, I think this might be the end for Donald Trump. But we're not guaranteeing anything. But the first clip we're going to play was what started the debate. Kamala Harris took charge right off the bat. This is exactly how you're supposed to do it. This is what she did to introduce herself for the very first time to Donald Trump.
Candidates to the stage, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
I mean, that clip was what, Lana, 10 seconds long? 3 baller moves. 3 in 10 seconds. She walked to the front of the stage where you're fucking supposed to go. And she's like, okay, you're not coming to me. Guess what? I'm coming right to you. Went right up to him, stood up straight, stuck out her hand, and said, hi, I'm Kamala Harris. Get my fucking name right, you stupid fuck.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why she did that. And that was a baller ass move.
Yeah. I knew she was. I told you.
Yes, you did. In fact, you might as well go over one of the bets you and I had. Will there be a handshake? And I gave Lana the opportunity to guess.
Yes, you did.
And Lana guessed correctly. I would have said no anyway. So you would have won either way. So Lana is up 1-0 on me in our predictions. But the debate did get started, Lana. And so I was trying to figure out, because there are so many clips from that debate that we could play from last night. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I play them? What do I do? So what I'm going to do is, let's start off with a couple of Donald Trump clips, because she dominated that thing so much that there are way more Kamala Harris clips than there are Donald Trump. So let's get this clown clips out of the way.
Clown clips.
This one, I'm just going to start off with probably one of the craziest things ever said. I mean, not even really in a debate. It might be one of the craziest things ever said just in human life. Somehow, these people conjure up these ideas that people are coming in from other countries and they are attacking cities. And now it's gotten so bad that, I mean, and let's just keep in mind, people from other countries have been coming to this country, whether it be legally or not through the proper channels. And never have you heard anybody coming in and stealing people's pets and eating them. But all of a sudden, I guess this is a new fad that they conjured up, that people are coming in and eating. Now, it's bad enough for this to go around. It's bad enough for a person like J.D. Vance and Ted Cruz to retweet this. Just listen to Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's face when this idiot actually brings it up in a debate in front of, it turned out, over 60 million people.
Our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot
of towns don't want to talk about it.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned,
First of all, look at Kamala Harris's face. It's almost like he can have my additional 2 minutes if you'd like, because his guy is talking himself into a hole early.
That was at, mind you, sorry.
No,
that
go ahead.
Was at 9:31.
I was going to say that was our other, we had an over-under on when he was going to fall off the rails. And this was the very first comment. First 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought when Kamala Harris first came out, maybe it was just me because you already have this nervousness that, you just want her to do well and you're already a little nervous about, Joe Biden. I will say as soon as it started, I felt way less nervous about this one than I did the Joe Biden one. Mm-hmm. But she started and you could tell she was a little bit like jumpy, like she was a little bit, all right, It took her maybe 10 minutes and she got settled in, and then this happened, and you could look at her face and she knows it's over. It's over. This debate's over.
The reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Real quick, I mean, Lana, if you're a Trump voter, at some point, when do you stop believing him? Because he's been saying this for 9 years now. He's been saying it for 9 straight years that when Obama, or he was doing it before, he was doing it when Obama was president.
Yeah, we're still going to hell. The country's still like, it's just dark and gloom. No one's laughing and smiling. We're just it's just horrible.
There's a few more seconds of the clip, and I don't even remember what he says, but it probably is worth listening to.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individs within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So
look at her.
Maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I mean, Lana. Baby Juggernaut is right. QAnon conspiracy. Jesse, pretty weird, yeah.
But remember how he got there, right? Like, let's not even gloss. Because, like, I was just talking about this. 3 things to kind of get to your enemy, because if you are someone who is strong and cognizant, your weaknesses already. Your weaknesses. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths, whatever. Trump's not cognizant of his, because if he knew, he would have known that she's going to bait him with rally, because that is a weakness of his, and they should have told him that. But that's how that started, right? Like, wasn't like what part? How did this one start? When he started,
It is hard to remember all of them, because he goes off on tangents. And you are absolutely, correct. Is that first of all, I don't even think it matters how they prepare him, because in his mind,
yeah,
they've already told him, first of all, he is king to so many people. He is God
true.
to so
That's
many
true.
people. And so many of these weirdos and losers. And I'm talking about weirdos and losers that that he actually lets surround him.
Right.
Forget about the ones that go to his rallies. I'm talking about the ones who surround him. They tell him, you're the greatest debater of all time. So he is basically thinking to himself, I don't need this shit. I'm the greatest debater of all time. I could go in and I can run over anybody anytime I want to. And I think that that's the thing. Oh, one point I want to make, Lana. So the biggest issue that the right-wing media and Donald Trump and all these people have had about this debate last night is that he's being teamed up on. Oh, the moderators were teaming up on him. I will say this. Like, if you clearly saw a moderator always just attack one candidate in a normal debate,
Right.
you could say, hey, maybe they were a little bit biased one way or the other. When you are listening to one of the candidates say that migrants and Haitian people are in this country eating dogs and that he saw it on television, that 100% absolutely should be corrected. I can't believe I have to say this.
Right. And I think they only check the two things, like that
Correct.
and the
abortion
at 9 months or after it's born. He talked about, like, he was running against Biden. He threw in some Hunter, sprinkled that in there. Like, no one said anything. I mean, David Muir, is that his name?
Yeah.
He did refocus him and say, this is an easy question. It's a yes or no. What is your answer, sir? Right? Like, they call this man president. So nobody was like anti him at all. They were very fair with both of them and gave him extra time. So
in fact, he spoke more than she did.
Yes.
Answered more questions and spoke more than he did. I think he spoke like 4 minutes longer or 3 minutes longer and answered, I think, 4 more questions.
Yeah.
He had plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. He had plenty of opportunity to go back and hit her, but he couldn't hit her because she already framed it. He's going to talk about immigration all night long, y'all. Even when we're talking about abortion, he's going to talk about immigration. FYI, watch it. Like, she already framed him.
And even, we're going to get to this because I'm looking forward to the knockout blows. But all right, so let me move on to Donald Trump, and then we're going to get to Kamala Harris's, and then we're just going to watch knockout. You ever, if you're a boxing fan, there's videos every once in a while like Mike Tyson's top 10 best knockouts. So we're gonna watch Donald Trump, and then we're gonna watch some of the best knockouts. But this next clip is Donald Trump is telling the country that he is respected by world leaders, and this is the one he said he's respected by.
Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men. They call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way.
By the way, these are all post-eating dog clips. So you could just now at this point watch Kamala Harris's reactions on every one. She is already in the driver's seat. She's on cruise control.
Yeah.
And, she's part, I just let him talk, and part, I can't wait to talk.
Yeah.
He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world.
All right, you get the point. Lana, The funny thing about the difference between Donald Trump's debate performance last night, which now is the worst debate performance of all time. He topped Joe Biden's, although, Trump was it was really a tie, I think, in the last one. But the difference between Donald Trump's cognitive decline here, because he's all over the place, he doesn't even know what he's saying. He just knows he's got to bring up points that he wants to bring up. He's talking about Viktor Orban, then he's going into something else. Is Joe Biden just looked and sounded old. He doesn't have that look and sound old kind of guy, thing. But if he did, then people would be saying the same thing for sure about what they were saying about Joe Biden. This actually, Lana, Javid brings up a point, is something that we talked about last night, and it was one of our bets. He's saying that the other thing not covered is the fact that Melania has been completely absent. Another news item that is missing. The Trumpers love her 100%. That is a good question. We know why Melania is not there. I think the media knows why she's not there. And I think they're trying to be respectful because they don't. I know this is going to sound funny and weird, but the media doesn't want to feel like they are, what's that kind of newspaper that you read that's all the fake stories and
I don't know, one of those.
Yeah, they don't want to look like that, but I don't know. They don't bring her up at all.
It was more than just not bringing it up. It almost seems like he seemed like he had to deal with the debate people to not film the end of it, because once they were done, normally you see the spouses come up, and we didn't see spouses at all. So that means that he told them, I'll agree to debate under these conditions. He didn't want that look on TV with her husband coming out, and then he's there alone as per usual. Per usual.
Per usual. Baby Juggernaut had a good one too. Here's the other reason why the moderators were not correcting Kamala Harris's lies, because they counted them up last night. Donald Trump told 33. Kamala Harris, according to the fact checkers, told one lie.
And was it even a lie? What was it?
I'm not even sure what it was. But honestly, I was listening to it, and you wanted to hear some things that, now I will say there's a couple of times she pivoted off the question, but that's something that's typical in a debate. That's kind of what you do sometimes.
Right.
And then it's up to the moderator to, what's that?
Right. That she was not going to stay on immigration. She was going to pivot right away from that. She was smart, because then she hit him with something else. I mean, she taught a master class. Like
she sure did.
She owned it. We were talking about this just as a lawyer, because our partners at the firm, they were like, we want to take clips of this debate and show, up and coming associates, like, this is how you do it, because she owned the stage. And then she exploited his weakness, because she's a prosecutor, and his weaknesses were how she was debating him. So she owned it, exploited him, and that exploitation gave her an opportunity to say, hey, do you want that or do you want this? And that's what she did the whole night.
There is absolutely no question. And she did it again, there's the stuff that they're all the pundits before the thing. This is what she needs to do. This is what she needs to do. This is what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to tell Kamala Harris what to do. First of all, this woman is about to be the president of the United States. She is going to be telling people what to do. And she clearly looks like a person that knows how to do that. And she feels like somebody that you can trust being in that position. But a couple more Trump clips. Might as well call him Clump. Of course, they asked about the turning black comment, and this was his jumbled answer.
I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
Oh,
But
boy.
those were your words. So I'm
I don't
asking.
know. I don't know. I mean,
Look at her
all I can
face.
say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and
That she
I'll
put
say
out.
that. And
He
then
slid that in
I
there.
read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up.
Well, he certainly cleared that up, Lana. What do you think?
So, are you going to play her answer?
I
No.
do have, yes, I do have those answers. I'm going to win the Kamala Harris clips. I'm going to start playing hers here after we get done with his.
Okay.
But you could comment on however you want, obviously.
So I almost need her clip, but whatever. She put out like that kind of like that's ridiculous. But I don't want to comment until I hear her clip about.
All right, well, yeah, we'll get to that clip and then we'll get back to that. Real quick, Angel North, my friend from Alaska, thank you for joining us.
In the house.
The Inquirer, that's yes, and what's the kind of magazine they call those though? The Inquirers, they're called something specific.
Gossip? No.
I'll think of
just
it.
have the aliens on the cover.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton looking like she's like 1,000 years old.
My favorite was the alien who would always come down and predict who the president was going to be, and he's been right every single time, this alien. So I'm looking forward to his prediction this year. Angel North says that he can't afford to have Melania. She wants to be paid for every time he appears. There's that. We talked about that on the show before. You're absolutely right. Javid says Kamala should Uber eats some chicken tikka masala to him just to fuck him up. No question. Rags. That's something what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the specific. I don't want to get all mixed up in that. All right, let's finish up on Donald Trump's crazy night here. This is him talking about the abortion ban.
That would have been part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because
right there.
Yep.
Never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Lonnie, he said that the every legal expert, every state wanted to go back to the states. What do you think?
Not only did he say every legal expert, he said Democrats, he said Republicans, he said independents, he said me, he said you, he said our friend in Alaska, baby Juggernaut. He said we wanted our young girls to be raped or victims of incest and be forced to have a child. He said that we wanted, our sisters to bleed out in bathrooms and emergency parking lots. We want them med-flighted. Yeah, hey, we want them to be walking dead coffins. Didn't y'all ask for that? Because I did, per Trump.
Kamala did a masterful job of pointing that out and looking dead at him. And you could feel it from her, like, I am speaking for all women, you motherfucker. She had that kind of tone, like almost like, look at me while I'm talking to you and I'm explaining to you how screwy your plan, JD Vance's plan, Project 2025's plan, whoever's plan it turns out to be, is insane and crazy. And no, nobody asked for this. Nobody did. So, all right, now it's time to get.
And I do like, I'm sorry, I don't know if you have.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I do like how she basically said, you don't have to compromise who you are to not be okay with this. Like, you can be not okay with what he's doing and still not compromise your faith. It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people, in fact, it is clear. He even said it that the reddest of states, when it's on the ballot and it's being voted on, it just wins overwhelmingly. Did it won in Alabama? It won in Kentucky, I believe. It won in.
Alabama, it did.
I
Kansas,
thought there was some sort of, if somebody's
Kansas.
out there and they know, I think in Alabama something about abortion was passed there. Or maybe I might be wrong about Alabama, but it did win in some red states.
I don't even think they figured out the IVF situation in Alabama yet.
Yeah, Ohio, I believe Ohio is one.
I remember Kansas. I do
Yeah.
remember them.
Oh, is it Kansas?
Yeah.
Maybe I said Kentucky. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, there were red states, and like I said, Donald Trump even admitted it last night that in red states that it happened, that it's he called it liberal. So let's get to the star of the night. We're going to get to who I believe, and I believe Lana believes, is going to be our next president. We talked about, she put on an absolute masterclass, and there was so many different ways that she knew how to attack them. This one right here was probably the one that got under his skin the most. I want you to keep in mind that when Donald Trump responded, and I don't know if I have the response, but the question was about immigration. And that's Donald Trump's top. That's the thing he can't wait for, is immigration. So she brings it up in her answer during an immigration question and throws this dumb fuck right off his game. But here is how she got him, and it is just beautiful.
To do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Let me tell you something. What she did there is, we talked about boxing a few minutes ago. If you know anything about boxing, she hit him with a couple of very solid jabs at first. And then the knockout blow was, so yes, I'm going to make fun of him and get under his skin, but then I'm going to the camera and I'm going to talk to you and tell you what he doesn't do for you and exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
And if he was a true candidate, and if he had people around him that were smart, Kamala Harris and her team have been broadcasting that this was going to be what they were going to do forever.
Right.
They ran the ad of Obama saying, hey, he's almost 80 years old. And, the only person he talks about, he's been whining for years. The only person he cares about is himself. And then, shows the guy yawning at his rallies, and it's empty and the birds chirping. It's like, they've been telling him, we're going to exploit you with this. What does he do? Walks right into it.
It clearly is amazing. I mean, she was kind of like the owner who kept pretending like he was throwing the ball, and he would run after a non-existent ball looking around for it. And she's holding it, laughing her ass off at him. That's really what it felt like.
Or Lucy holding a football.
Right. That's exactly what it was like. We'll catch up on a couple more of the comments here. The biggest demographic, in my humble opinion, this is Javed, is the suburban mom. Do they really want the government to control your daughter's reproductive rights, pregnancy? It's almost a dystopian movie situation. And again, how can you be a father and say, hey, if I have a 10, 12-year-old daughter and she gets raped, the government's telling me my 11, 10-year-old daughter has to have that baby? What are you fucking out
They
of your
don't. They don't
mind?
think like that. They don't. They don't think.
Unless it happens to them.
Hmm.
And then there's a secret abortion somewhere.
Yeah, that whole Christian couple who were against abortion until his wife had a complicated pregnancy and was not going to deliver a child that was alive and needed an abortion and couldn't get one. And these are Christians who
Yeah.
were against it and now found themselves in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
All right. This next clip is Kamala Harris brilliantly bringing up basically his catchphrase.
Donald Trump was
Question.
fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And so let's be clear about that.
He is,
he is having I'm
excuse me.
going to tell you that
Allergies.
he is, I know, I said they've been going around. By the way, he is seething. It is driving him nuts every time she talks.
I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace.
Talking at him.
And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about facts.
To not be confused about facts. Yeah. Perhaps you don't have the ability to not be confused about facts. Also known as you're a liar.
and unequipped for this job.
What you say?
Right, it really was. It was like watching an artist last night. It was like watching a great person in their sport or music or whatever. I mean, it was literally perfect. Now I do have one, I don't know, maybe it's a side question, because I look at Donald Trump's reaction. He's kind of got this smirk on his face. You know, whenever you hear like there's a really mean boss and he respects you more if you talk to him and you are like straight and blunt with him, that he would respect you more.
Yeah.
Is he respecting her in a way? Do you think he has gained respect for her because he's kind of like, holy shit, this is my gig. She's pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but
I think, did you see them shaking hands this morning?
yeah, but it's no way that they couldn't shake hands. You know what I mean? She wasn't gonna let that happen.
Saying, yeah, I think, but he looked over at her and said, you know, you were really good last night. Something to that effect.
I mean, I don't know, maybe, but you know, who can go into that head of his? Like, I don't.
No, you're exactly right. But I think, you know, something. I mean, I think there is some possibility that he's like kind of like, damn, all right, you know, that wasn't too bad. It was better than I thought.
Yeah,
because he's already conjured in his head she's stupid. She doesn't know, or he's already been convinced by other people that he's, you know, she's stupid and she doesn't know, and this is going to be, and you know, like I said, he, you know, Baby Juggernaut said, you know, attracted to. I think he is kind of attracted to her too.
Yeah, that is a fact. He said she's a beautiful woman, but he's prettier.
Yeah, I think he might have become a little bit smitten last night. He might like freaky stuff and having her yell at him.
You know, races have always loved.
That is true. Yeah.
Surprise. It was a Strom Thurmond.
Right.
And Jefferson out here with Sally Hemings. Like, you know, it's.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
All right. Well, after she really got him there. Which one is the next one? Oh, this is a good one too, because again, just goes after exactly, he thinks he's the tough guy. He thinks he's the strong man, and she went after that as well.
That I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I mean, God, I just don't know. Huh?
We just heard that one.
Oh, that's the one. Did I just play that one? Oh my God.
I'm like,
right,
is this a longer version?
That's how good it was that we had to play it twice.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry, I don't know. I'm kind of loose. Sometimes when I play the clip, I'm looking down to see what the next one is, and I'm concentrating, so I'm not paying attention half the time. So, but let's go to the next clip. This is where Kamala Harris calls out his racist past.
Cool.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Lana, go ahead.
Yeah. How to call a racist without uttering the words racist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she did. And that's why that was so perfect, because she rises above it, because the question was about her. She doesn't talk about her gender. She doesn't talk about her race. She just talks about becoming president, being qualified. She was able to reach back and talk about his racism. Like, oh, we're not going to talk about that, him saying, I just turned. Let's talk about his history on this subject. And that's what she did. So masterful, right? So it's like she didn't have to use herself as a sounding board for racism, to call out his racism. And then he had the nerve to say, like, he fell right into it. This was back then. This is now. But it's like, now is this topic. This is the subject is now. You saying that I just identified as black is the now. I'm just not talking about this, but that's your history. Like, it was just so good. Like, it was just so good how she called out racism and called him a racist, without saying those freaking words.
I mean, you're perfectly said. It was just, you're the whole night just watching it. But in that clip too, Lana, what she did once again, and she was doing it all night long. She looked at him, scolded him like a little boy, and then turned to the camera and said, "This is how we need to do it with us together, and not with this guy anymore."
Absolutely.
She was doing it all night long
Yeah.
to perfection. And,
Yeah.
we just talked about a little while ago is that she was giving him the signals of what exactly she was going to say and what exactly she was going to do. And he still fell for every bit of it. And you know what the funny thing is, Lana? If they debate again, they have a whole hour and a half to watch of what she did to him. And he still won't be able to correct it.
No. It'll be a whole replay. You're absolutely right. And it was so amazing because when she started talking about the unity and about come over and join my coalition, Republicans join my coalition, she spoke to the camera and it kind of closed in on her face. And then it zooms out when she's turning to talk to him and scolding him, and you can see his clown face. He didn't get that because he never talked to America. So what he got when he was rambling, it wasn't just him. It got her giving him those looks in his shot of rambling to himself, rambling to the moderators. It was just she played the camera like he thought he knew how or wished that he could. Now he knows that he don't know how to do shit.
I think they were cognizant of that other camera being on her because of the disaster on the last one. Because Joe Biden, like I said it earlier in the show, I mean, I love the guy. I mean, and I will go, and Lana, I believe, we've talked about this before. Her and I will go to the death for that guy because we just love him and we think he's maybe the best president of our lifetime. But he when he was looking at Donald, he just looked lost and his mouth was agape and he was just, sort of, and it was harder to watch.
Right.
Her?
Yeah.
I mean,
watch her all day.
What's funny, Lana, is usually you can't take your eyes off of Donald Trump because he's so crazy. You couldn't take your eyes off her. It was her. She commanded every bit of that debate last night, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you like her or you don't like her. She commanded that stage. She commanded that debate. She commanded every second of it. Every second.
Can I one comment too? Speaking of how much we love Joe Biden, you know who else loves Joe Biden? Kamala.
She does.
And
even though he tried to say go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Even when he says she doesn't, but it's clear she does because when Trump was talking about Biden, saying those things, her face, she looked like she was getting hurt and upset and pissed off about it. You could see it in her face. She wanted to say, keep his name out of your fucking mouth.
Yep. She's about to Will Smith his ass.
Yeah, she absolutely did. You could just see it every time he was saying Biden. She was just she was getting tense because it was pissing her off because she's protective over him. Because let's think about it. Before Biden got out of that race, Kamala was ride or die for him.
Yep.
She was not trying to become president. She was, Joe, we keep rocking and rolling and do what we do. And she was fighting them off. She was doing more. That's when we started to see her more. She was doing a press conference it's funny, she doesn't do interviews, but she was all over the place doing interviews because she was trying to do damage control after the debate. The night of the debate, remember? She had to come out right away. She came out the night of that debate. To do damage control. She loves him.
100%. I could not agree more. And, you talk about, people are, she's not doing interviews. She's not doing this. She's not doing. After last night, I can't imagine a human being walking around with more confidence than that woman has after what she did last night, that she probably feels like she could go into any situation. And, somebody at my job brought it up today. and said he said that people would question whether or not that woman would be afraid of Vladimir Putin. I mean, I think she proved last night that
Exactly.
she's not afraid of anybody.
Oh my God. When she said that Putin will, what did she say? Eat him for lunch or
Yep.
whatever she said, have him for lunch. I'm like, yo. at that point, she was just like, I don't respect you. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna fucking say whatever. You're a disgrace. You're a pig. He's gonna eat you for lunch. They know that they can curry favor with you. Like she was saying all of that stuff that we know happens. She was just saying that shit like they don't like you ain't strong. They just know that they can curry favor. And it's crazy because if she can get underneath, she knew how to push Trump's buttons. She knew how to bait him. The fuck you think that Putin doesn't know how to bait him? If Kamala does,
She told him to his face that he can. So I mean, it's I was wondering as you were talking there. Their team, the debate team came up with talking point after talking point after talking point to hit him with. I wonder if that debate team went over the checklist. I don't think she missed one.
No.
I think she remembered every single thing she wanted to say.
She went back, right? Like, because she kept circling back. And that was the perfect thing, too. She would circle back to stuff. And I don't know if this is like a trick of attorneys, like
that it was.
Yeah, because when you talk, 'cause I work with them, and even like when you're giving a speech or when you're talking about something, or even when we're doing the show, it's a trick that we do when we go back to a certain thing that we know to try to jog our memory again. So it's like we're
100%.
not saying it over and over. We're acting like, because I did it tonight, right? To jog my memory about something like, okay, right. And then the abortion, and I'm like, so I can jog. And I think she kept going back to her policies is like, just in case you forgot, I'm trying to give up to 25,000 to the, she was jogging it so she can come back and get back to the next thing. So that's what she was doing.
That's exactly right. In fact, I did it a couple times tonight. I'm sitting there, you're talking and I'm like listening to your answer and I'm like, yeah, I'm into it. And I was like, I know I want to say something. And in the middle of your answer, I kind of forgot it. And I was like, oh, yeah, what was I gonna say? And then go back, you're right. And she did that again to perfection. And again, this is what happens when you're a professional prosecutor. You think that woman was going to be afraid of not just him. I'm even trying to think of the smartest guy that could have been out there. He's the dumbest person that she's ever interacted with on the political or any stage.
Exactly.
So how could anybody think that she was, unless you really didn't know who this woman was?
Right.
I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, you were kind of, political wonky-ish, well, we know when she was in the Senate and we know when she was questioning the people in the Senate and we watched her. We knew exactly what was coming. But, a lot of people didn't. And over 60 million people watched that. And surely a lot of them were like, oh, shit.
But that's the crazy part, right? Like that's when the critical thinking is just lost for people, because it's like freaking my Alexa saying it's time for bed. Alexa's like, I mean, critical thinking, because do we really think that she is vice president because why? She's cute, right? Like she had to have.
She dated Willie Brown. That's why.
Like what exactly? Like seriously, like people fucking think about it. Like for anyone to say, "Oh, she's not smart," it's like, and then someone today, after debates, they go and they ask their groups, their whatever those groups are.
Yeah, I'm done with those focus groups, by the way. Not the focus groups and the undecided voter.
Yeah, they're just dumb at this point. One woman was like, I don't know. I'm still undecided because I expected her to talk about her policy, and she kind of gleamed over them. So I'm still unsure because and it's like, bitch, if you don't go on to Kamala Harris's campaign website and figure the shit out. The thing is, the debate is 90 minutes. Do you think that she's going to go through how she's doing it, what money she's going to use, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so you are clear on how she's going to pay for it? It's a debate. The debate is used to just put her ideas and her policies out there, not explain to you how it's getting done. That's not this kind of debate. That's not, no one asked her that question, so why would she be saying it?
Well, first of all, what do you expect from these undecided idiots? I'm sorry to say it, but I mean, enough's enough with the undecided voter. In fact, every time they do a piece on an undecided voter, I'm like, nope. I say I scroll past it because I'll only see it on Twitter or something because I'll never sit there and watch cable news. But I don't even pay. I don't give a shit what the undecided voter has to say. They're the stupidest politically stupidest people in the country. So I don't care what they have to say. And go back into your point, talking about, who believes, how could you actually believe that Kamala Harris was just handed the job because she was pretty or something? Lonnie, you got to remember, these are the same people that believe Haitians are eating dogs right now. So it's difficult to get that passed. But let's get back to the star of the show. Not only did she go over Donald Trump's racist past, she also has gone over his present and future criminal past.
We love to hear it.
Thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
I mean, absolutely correct and dead on. One thing I'm going to say, I'm going to get some of the comments to here and catch up on those, but I'm a little, the Police Benevolent Society or whatever who endorses Donald Trump, this woman was the one that completed your job, you assholes. You arrested them because they were committing crimes. And she was the one on your side that said, you did your job. Now it's time to do my job. And you're going to say, we're going to endorse this guy. What? Because you think he's a tough guy, because you think he's going to allow you guys more leeway to go out on the streets and do whatever it is that you want to, which is surely possible.
Yeah.
But all right, let's catch up. Query: if the African-American people came out in numbers like they did for Obama, will it make a difference in November? Lana, what do you think? I mean, I think, obviously any group coming out in numbers, I think helps the Democratic nominee.
I mean, we came out for Obama. We came out for Hillary. We came out for Biden. Yeah. We're the most consistent group. It's white men and white women. We are consistent. Even black men, even as much as I complain, of black women are what are we like at 95% or something very high Democrat that we vote, and black men aren't that bad. It is white men are the worst and white women.
Yep.
It's not us. Y'all need to come out.
I do want to point out, I do want to point out though, it is uneducated white men that are the worst.
Yeah.
So those are the worst.
Yeah.
So it's the ones. ones
Fair.
that got brains in their heads that come
Fair.
out. So,
Fair.
so
White women, right? Because even the educated
yeah,
white women will vote with their white husbands, but it's not all uneducated white men, because I have white men
not all,
I have
but
white men at my law firm.
yeah.
They're lawyers that support Trump even now.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
they're
not,
not on. Oh, yeah. So they're the educated ones.
yeah, they're the educated ones. And I
Right,
don't
right.
understand, because I'm like, they're not even falling whereas they're like the super wealthy, like Elon. So, you know what I mean? Like, they have money, they're partners, but they're not fucking millionaires. Like, you know what I'm saying? I at least understand the people who own the corporations and stuff like that, but like,
Right.
I get that, because greed is their bottom line. I don't get the other stuff. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But no,
No,
you're
I
right.
don't get it either. Were there any other the Tim Pool's no morals? Yeah, that's
Mm,
that's part of the group too.
uh,
These younger angry men who
yeah,
are just
yeah,
angry at
yeah,
life,
yeah,
who need some outlet, and the Tim Pools of the world, the Joe Rogans of the world, the Elon Musks, the
yeah,
Donald Trumps, these
yeah.
Jordan Peterson cat,
Mhm.
who was the guy who used to act Russell Brand, now all of a sudden is one of these weirdos.
Oh my God.
They're the ones who make these guys feel like there's something. In fact, they're almost like, Lana, you and I played before. You remember those man camps? These guys would go to these
Yeah, that was
camps and have
weird.
these guys scream
That's
at them and make
creepy.
them more manly.
Yeah.
They're kind of like their man camp instructors, but they just do it through podcasts, or they do it through being the president, or however it is they get it. So, but let's get back to some more brilliant clips. This one is so Lana, you and I talked about this on how she was going to handle the border, and of course she did bring up what you and I anticipated she would bring up, and this is about the border bill.
And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Lana, I don't. There are people, that will watch that whole debate last night and say, well, he said some things and she said some things, and I don't really know, and maybe it's because you and I are immersed in this, but number one, these candidates have 2 minutes to come up with an answer on an incredibly complex subject. So if you think you're going to get, all kinds of policy, or you're going to, and I'm not even really sure what you're looking for, because
Right.
I can't understand how anybody could not watch every word of that debate last night, not come out of it and go, she's really, really,
Right.
really good.
Exactly. Like, you're being dishonest. Like, one woman was like, I really want to like her. I do like her, but I'm voting for Trump. And it's just like,
Okay. Explain it. That's what I said. I mean, that's that's probably been one of my favorite questions when I talk to people in the chats about, when they say dumb stuff about how Biden and Kamala Harris have ruined the country and our economy and nobody can afford anything. And, I said, give me specifics. Tell me exactly what they did to ruin the economy. And I'm willing to read what you're going to send me, and I'll look into it. And maybe you're right. Let's take a look at it together. But I've yet to have somebody
right,
come
you can't
and
tell me they ruined the economy when wages are up.
they haven't.
You just can't say it randomly when your wages are up. You're not complaining about your stocks. Trump is making money under this administration.
100%. Well, unless you go by his True Social,
right, and that's true
losing money.
social. But I'm saying, like, if he has stocks and things like that, he's doing pretty good. Those people in Congress are all doing very well
No
under
question.
this administration. They're lying to you because everyone with your retirements are doing really well, and then the interest rates are about to go down. So, like,
Correct, Lana, and again, we brought this up, and it bears repeating. What Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their administration, did post-COVID is the envy of the rest of the world. There are
that part,
countries
right,
that are still suffering from
right,
COVID way, way worse than the United States. They are
correct,
looking at us and they're asking, how did you guys do that
right,
so well? We
right,
did not even hit a recession. In
right,
fact, during the recovery, inflation did go up. It is shot down to under 3%, but we continued to add jobs
right.
and wages outpaced inflation by every economic record. If you looked what happened post-COVID, you would if you would understand how incredibly well the economy was handled. And they'll even admit, is everything back to where we want to be? And is everything perfect? It's not. It's harder for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to come out and blame who's really to blame. And that's these corporations, even though Joe Biden did call them out. And so did Kamala Harris. She says, we're going to stop this bullshit that when we have a pandemic or we have anything that's an emergency in this country, you're not going to take advantage of the American people and jack up your prices, you fucking assholes.
Right. Because that's what happened.
Yep, no question. All right, last couple clips here. They were in Pennsylvania last night. And Kamala Harris, again, this seemed very, very calculated because there is a very big Polish community in Pennsylvania, and she was sure to. And some people will say, "Oh, she's just pandering to him to get votes." I truly believe that she cares as well. Right. Yes, there happens to be a large Polish community, and she wants to speak to those people in the state that she happens to be debating Donald Trump in. So, if you're saying she's pandering, fine, you could say that, but I truly believe that she cares and that she wanted to include them. But here's what she had to say.
Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Oof.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Boom. I mean, come on, man. I got news for you. I might go watch that thing again tonight. I'm so excited watching these clips.
Yeah.
That's
not pandering. She's literally pissed off because she knows what's at stake. Like, that's just, yes, she wants all of our votes so she can help.
That's exactly right. And I think she is ready for this. And I think that she feels like she's ready for this. She did close out the night with her final comments. And this is one thing that she had to say. Again, this is just, letting people know that she wants to be president and again, it's kind of sad, Glenda, that we even have to say this anymore, that, we need to bring this country together because it is so incredibly and awfully divided. But these are her final words, some of her final words in her closing statement.
I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if an actress or any, I mean, she just played that role so well last night, and she wasn't acting. I mean, she was sincere, she was smart, she was funny, she cut into Donald Trump. Again, it was the easiest game. As I said earlier, it's like making like you're throwing the ball and getting the dog to go chase it. And that's what he
Yeah.
did. She did to him all night long, like all night
night.
long.
All night long.
So, all right, Lana, before we go, let's see. Did we miss any of our bets that we did last night? 9:22 was the time, the over under on whether or not he was going to say something completely unhinged that we could consider.
But
and I think
we also said not past 9:30 though. We're like that. We did
right.
that.
that is absolutely true. The other one too, Lana, that we did miss was we both said yes on it. I only saw one. And it was after the debate on who won the debate, and CNN's poll showed 63%. We said it, and we set the number at 65%. We thought it was going to be over 65%.
Very close. We did really good. That's
that was a pretty good line to set that at. Of course, if you looked at the internal Trump poll, did you see that one that came out today? 92% said Donald Trump won, and only 8% and Kamala Harris won.
Oh my God. Fundraising numbers.
This guy's nuts.
55 million in the first 24 hours.
Oh, is that what was raised in the first 24 hours? By the way, I think it's probably very important that after the debate and after everybody was celebrating, news instantly broke that one Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. Now, I'm sure a lot of people out there would say, and Taylor Swift's not my kind of music. I do like the young lady. I think she's, just a phenomenal person from everything I've seen, at least. And there's not a lot of celebrities that could announce, something like that where people would be like, holy shit. But if you happen to check her Instagram, she announced it, and there were literally like 1.4 million likes on it within minutes. Last check I saw, there was over 9 million likes on it, and I'm sure it's even higher right now. She made a clear, full endorsement of Kamala Harris, and then encouraged people to go out and vote. And from what I saw today, I want to say it was 330,000 registrations today. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, 330,000. Just with the fundraising.
Yeah.
It's so good because there's 67, I think it says 67.1 million people who viewed the debate. So if you got 67 million that viewed it, you have $55 million that was raised.
Yes.
That's pretty phenomenal. Like that ratio is kind of crazy. Like if you think about it, I don't know if everybody who watched donated, but I'm pretty sure a good portion donated.
There's absolutely no question about it, because those numbers, like if that happened a week ago, you'd be like, oh, why did they do it? I mean, obviously there is a correlation to the amount of money raised, and it came right off that debate. And I get two people I work with, like, I didn't watch it last night. I was like, what? How did you not watch the presidential debate?
What were you doing?
I watched a movie. I was like, I don't believe it.
Adults?
They're not very political, I'll say that. But I mean, it is kind of the country, and how not you're at least not half interested.
They must not vote.
And it is shocking. They do vote. That's the funny thing is, they do vote. One vote for Trump, and the other one, I'm 99% sure, votes for Kamala Harris. But that surprises me, to hear that people didn't watch the debate, but also too, Lana, you have 60 plus million who watched it. How many people are watching clips from it today too that didn't even watch it last night? So, I got the news. One of the girls was like, so what happened? Did Donald Trump say people ate a dog or something? It was 4:00 in the afternoon. Still had no idea what that was about. So, All right. Any final thoughts of last night's debate?
No, get registered, guys. We're down to like what, 54 days, I don't know, 53, 54, 55. Get registered because the deadlines are going to be coming up soon, and get your friends registered and get ready to vote. Let's get her over the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. I think that last night is adding significant momentum to a campaign that already was a freight train. Now it's more like one of those high-speed rail trains that is going to be very, very difficult to stop at this point. I don't see, any other debate. Will another debate happen? Do you think?
That's hard to tell. She wants another one. Her campaigners already came out and was like, let's do this again. That was fun. They've already said
Did you
that.
hear Trump today? He said it was like a UFC fight because I
Yeah.
won so much. It's like, she lost and she's begging for another, that's the play he's going to use to try to fool his whoever it is that still believes every word that comes out of his mouth. I'm shocked at this point that there still is so many, especially when you can just time after time after time prove that everything he says is just not true. I mean, I don't understand it. It's human psychology. We've said it on this show before that one day it's going to be studied as a phenomenon that nobody can understand. And I think maybe someday a professional therapist will be able to make heads or tails of this. But but anyway, I always forget to ask this. Please like, share, subscribe to the show. If you're watching now, please do us a favor, at least hit the like button. Look on over a little bit to the left, I believe. You can hit that subscribe button. Trying to get up to 500 subscribers. That's my the first goal for us to get up there. And then then it's all going to be, is it uphill or downhill from it's downhill, right? Because that's the easier route. Yeah, whatever. All right. Join Lana on her show, The Quest Show. You can check her out. Usually on Thursday night. She did her show tonight. You could go check out what she did earlier. And then you can check her out, her clips, and then you go see her again next week. Other than that, thank you everybody for joining us. Baby Juggernaut, Angel North, Javid, Jesse, Anne. Real quick, Anne hopped in. Let me just read Anne's. Harris, are you? Oh, good. Here we go. Harris, are you kidding me? Check the facts, people, before you laugh. I'm not going to laugh. Harris lied so many times. All you have to do is fact check her statements. She as vice president has been a failure. Okay, and do me a favor, runshousepodcast@gmail.com. You can email me the list of lies that Kamala Harris made last night. Yeah. And then when you send me that list, I will read them on the next show for you and we'll go over them. But thank you for joining us late. Thank you, Javid. Thank you, Angel. We thank you guys, and we will see you again next. Bye.
Bye.